Welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we're going to be speaking about a player that the Football for Kids listeners based in Australia have been emailing me about hundreds of times. A player who's become an Australian football legend and is the captain of the Melbourne City football team. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Jamie Maclaren. It's so nice to see and hear that there are so many of you listening all the way over in Australia. And it got me thinking, where else are all of you lot listening around the world? So, I need you to let me know. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, please leave a 5-star review if you'd be so kind to do so, and let me know where you are listening from. If you're listening on Spotify, you can respond to the Q&A on this episode and let me know on there where you're listening from and stick a 5-star review in. And if you're not listening on either of those, just send an email to footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com. Before we get into this episode about the brilliant, the fantastic, the absolutely superb Jamie Maclaren, we need to do a few of your shout-outs and your messages. The first one goes out to Luca, who, I'm told, loves the podcast. And Luca comes from a family of football fanatics. Luca's grandfather is Montenegrin. He's a former football coach and player, and he was best known for his playing stints at Red Star Belgrade and SL Benfica. He is also known for launching young players such as Vidic. Well, let me tell you, for you lot who don't know Vidic, what a player he was. Unbelievable. We'll have to do an episode on him in the not-so-distant future. Luca is 9 years old and he plays football at his school, Fox Primary School, and for Maxim FC in the Harrow League. Luca plays in a striker position and is a huge Manchester City fan. His favourite player of all time is Ronaldo. Well, Luca, a huge shout out to you and everybody that you play football with. You're obviously from a football-loving and football-talented family, so I'm sure you've probably got the genes as well. I really hope that you're enjoying all the football that you're playing, and I hope that you continue to do so as well. The next one says, to Darren, my name is William and I'm aged 8 years old. I love your podcast and I've listened to all the episodes. Please can you give a shout out to my amazing brother, Jacob McCarthy, and my amazing sister, Olive McCarthy. Please can you do an episode on PSG's attacking trio, Messi, Mbappe and Neymar, and an episode on Danny Ings. I'm a big West Ham fan. From William McCarthy. Well, William, a massive shout out to you. And I know that when you sent this message, it was all the way back in May, because that's how long it's taken to get to these messages because of how many of them are coming in. But unfortunately, that attacking trio is no longer. But when they were all playing together, what a fantastic trio they were. So maybe I'll have to do an episode on them anyway. Thank you for being a listener, William, and I really hope that you enjoy this episode. And the last one is from Angus. It says, hi Darren, I'm Angus from Edinburgh. I've just started listening to your podcast and I love it. Angus goes on to say that my coach is called Darren too. Well, Angus, your coach must be a good man, because what an awesome name he has. And I'd like to give a shout out to my football teams, Capital FCC and AC Oxgangs, and my school friends Fergus, Marnie and another Fergus. Thank you, Darren. Your podcast is the best. Well, Angus, thank you so much for your message, and a massive shout out to you and all your football teammates and your coach Darren. What a legend he is. I know that and I've not even met him. I've also noted down your request, and that has gone on to the very, 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 very long list of episodes that I need to get on and write. Well, that's all we've got time for in terms of shout-outs and messages on this episode. If you'd like the chance of getting a shout-out on a future episode, all you've got to do is ask an adult to send an email to footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to let me know where in the world you are listening from, whether that's England, Scotland, Wales, New Zealand, Argentina, Croatia, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, or wherever it is. Right, it's time to get on to the episode about the fantastic Jamie Maclaren. Jamie Maclaren was born in Melbourne, Australia in July 1993. Jamie wasn't the only person born then, as he had a twin brother called Donny, with whom he shared a love and passion for football with. Jamie was born to a mum called Julie, who was half Maltese, and a dad called Donald, who was Scottish. Because of his mum, Jamie had the opportunity to play for Malta. Because of his dad, he had the opportunity to play for Scotland. And because he was born in Australia, he had the opportunity to play for Australia. We'll come on to his international career in a little while. Jamie comes from a proper footballing family. Not only was his twin brother a naturally very gifted footballer, but his dad played in the Scottish leagues and his uncle Ross played for the likes of Derby County and Shrewsbury in the English leagues. Jamie was destined to follow in his family's footsteps. He started out at a local team called Sunbury when he was around 4 years old and was said to be a seriously hard worker, even at such a young age. Eventually, he moved on to play for the Green Gully Soccer Club in Melbourne. Jamie was developing into an extraordinarily good player and someone who was catching eyes. The one person who was extremely focused on his footballing career, probably more than anyone else, was his dad Donald. Donald spoke to Jamie's uncle Ross, who was now a scout for Aston Villa in the UK. Jamie's dad told him that Jamie was ready and to see what he could sort out. Although Jamie's uncle was at Villa and the club wanted him there, he was also offered an opportunity to go and play in the youth academy at Blackburn Rovers. At that time, Blackburn was doing really well and had just finished 7th in the Premier League. Jamie and his dad chose for him to go to Blackburn as they felt like it was the right thing to do. So, at around 15 years old, Jamie got on an aeroplane and travelled 17,000 kilometres across the world to start the next chapter in his amazing story. A big move for anyone, never mind a teenager. Jamie spent a few years in the youth system at Blackburn, and whilst he was there, his international career kicked off. Remember at the start, we said that he could have played for 3 different countries. 1, Malta, 2, Scotland, or 3, Australia. Well, Malta wanted him to play for them, but he politely declined. I don't know if this was before or after 2011, but in 2011, he got the opportunity to play for Scotland in the under-19 side. A super proud moment for him, but maybe an even more prouder moment for his Scottish dad. Jamie ended up making 2 appearances for Scotland, but that would be it. We'll come on to more of his international football in just a little while. In 2013, Jamie was released by Blackburn Rovers, and that part of his journey had come to an end. It was time to jump back onto a plane and fly 17,000 kilometres home, where he was signed up to play for Australian side Perth Glory. Not only was it nice for him to be home, but it was really nice for his family to have him home. This was a special time because it was his first ever senior professional contract. Jamie was now a fully fledged professional footballer. Jamie was on fire at Perth Glory, making around 40 appearances in 2 seasons, scoring many wonderful goals. After a couple of seasons, it was time for another move, and this time to the other side of the country, where he joined Brisbane Roars, another top Australian football team. This was a team that Jamie's dad knew he would score some goals at, and he wasn't wrong. In 53 games, he put away 40 tremendous goals, which sent Brisbane fans wild. However, there's a bit of a theme when it comes to the career of Jamie Maclaren. and that is he liked to move about a bit. Not that there is anything wrong with this, because if you listen to many of the other episodes which we've done on some of the best players in history, many of them have done the same thing and done their fair share of moving. In 2019, Jamie was back on a plane, but this time he was off to Germany, where he played a handful of games, but ultimately he ended up back in Scotland and he played for Hibs. Jamie got a lot of respect when he was playing for Hibs in the Scottish League, as he had built up relationships with the other Scottish players from playing with them in the under-19 squad and playing against them when he was playing with Blackburn. Jamie has always said that he wouldn't have changed a moment in his football career, as it made him the man and the player that he has become today. And in 2019, he returned to the homeland of Australia for possibly the final time to play for Melbourne City Football Club, where he is today and is now the captain. Jamie has become the top goal scorer in history in the Australian top division. He's also become the player to score the most hat-tricks in the division, and he has also lifted the A-League trophy on 3 separate occasions. Earlier, many years before this, he was offered to play for Scotland again, but politely declined as he felt it was natural to play for Australia. Jamie played for the Australia under-20 side, the Australia under-23 side and the senior side. He made 21 senior appearances for the country which he was born in, and he has always worn the Australian jersey with true pride. So from being a 4-year-old knocking the ball about, working his socks off, to taking opportunities travelling across the world, Jamie has had some journey and is still playing football at an extremely high standard, inspiring football fans around Australia and around the globe. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about the story and career of Jamie Maclaren so far. And remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.